Ho, 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 everyone, and welcome to Brain Balance Live. Today, we have Heather from the Hidden Churn. My name's Corey. I'll tell you who I am in just a second, but I'll tell you who Heather is. Heather is a board certified cognitive, that's your brain, specialist, and she's also a National Autism Summit speaker. And today, we're going to be helping you deal with holiday stress. How's it going, Heather?
Good. I'm feeling like you're not too stressed right now, which is great.
That would be wrong.
I know.
This is all a facade. You see? No.
Yeah. No,
Listen,
I know you have a crazy life. You still got a smile on your face.
all three kids are home. All three kids are making noise. And the second I stepped out the door and asked for a Santa hat, all three were looking for it. So I got it. I'm good. We're solid. Seriously, folks, listen, it's the holidays. Things are stressful, and they're more stressful than they used to be. We all know why. We're not going to talk about it, okay? We're not going to say the C word, but the truth is, it's not good. It's not good out there. We're being told to stay away from our families. We're being told not to look at each other or breathe near each other. We can't go work out. We can't drive anywhere. Road trips are gone. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, as a parent of a brain balance child, my son went through the program for 9 months. I have a lot of insight and a lot of thoughts. And so I want to share those. But more importantly, I'm here to learn from Heather. Heather has some great resources, ideas, thoughts. And, Heather, we're going to talk about self-care, managing stress. I've got my list over here. We're going to talk about anxiety for our kids and how it might help them, not help them. It doesn't help them. It hurts them. Let's talk about some things that we can do and not contribute to the anxiety and the stress tied to the holidays. Yeah.
Yes. And these tips today will help every member of the family with stress because, I posted today on the Hidden Churn site that the APA, even aside from the C word going on this year, 80% of Americans expect holiday stress and anxiety. And that's without neurodevelopmental issues.
Right.
So we've talked about this before, but the number one thing to do to manage stress and anxiety in your house is your own self-care. When you're flying in an airplane, they tell you if there's a change in cabin pressure, put your own oxygen mask on before helping the kids. It's not selfish. If you lose consciousness, you can't help your child. Same thing here. Kids learn how to think about the holidays and the world every day of the year, how to feel, how to act by watching you of all ages. This isn't just the little ones. Stress and anxiety are contagious, and so is calm.
It's the truth.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say calm being contagious, right? So how do you pass your calm? How do you pass your calm along? I mean, just by being calm?
Yes. That's the thing. Like, you don't even have to say, do you notice how I'm being calm? Now you do. They pick up on your vibe. They pick up what they're observing you. Yeah. If you are calm, it naturally brings their energy down to emotional energy as well. It can even be physical energy. But y'all have a lot of reasons to be stressed. I mean, so many parents are putting pressure on themselves. Like, I got to create the perfect holiday for my family. There's all of this commercialism where, we're supposed to be peaceful and happy and everything's perfect. And look, we're a crest tooth whitening commercial. We're so happy. And keeping up with the Joneses and, my friend wants this for Christmas and all the demands. And what if I don't meet my kids' expectations? I'm going to be Martha Stewart up in here with the perfect holiday decor and cooking the most delicious meals ever. So really ask yourself, are you putting too many demands on yourself? And we're going to talk about ways to work through that. Do you sometimes even feel resentment because you're trying to create this perfect holiday and you're not getting the help you need, but maybe someone else has a different vision for it? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you, on the go? It is continually important to exercise and to eat right, to stay hydrated. Dehydration happens a lot during really year round, but during the holidays for reasons we don't have to go into.
Yeah.
But take care of yourself. I've told y'all before, my Uncle Ray said, if the cow runs out of milk, ain't nobody got anything to drink. He
Yeah.
preaches that at me all the time because I can be guilty of not. I'm a calm person, but I don't necessarily take care of myself sometimes because I'm focused elsewhere. So what do you find relaxing? Take time for yourself. Ask yourself if you might feel a little frenetic because you're such an awesome parent and you're running around trying to make things so good for everyone else. How might that impact your kids' behavior? It does not cause the issues, but it can contribute.
Nice. I love it. So as we talk, is it okay to jump to limitations? I've got my list over here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So limitations. With my kiddo, when he's traveling or he is, getting his heart set on something, if you change it, then he gets really upset. So when we talk about limitations, are we talking about limiting the amount of things that they do, or are we talking about their personal limitation?
We're going to talk about expectations and that type of limitation on activities in a minute.
Okay.
When I'm talking about be aware of what your child's limitations are, and this is not negative. This is let's love and appreciate and enjoy our children as they are in this moment. Yes, we're going to work on their foundational issues, continue to do that. But here's where they are right now. We're in the holiday season.
Yeah.
So if you have a child who has one of the most obvious ones is sensory processing challenges, there is a whole lot of overstimulation that can happen during the season. Blinking lights, that's very hard on the visual system. You know, loud music, bigger crowds. I mean, I know this year some of that is a little different, but it's still there. So keep in mind, if you are going out and about, do you have to take your kids with you? Are there times they can stay at home? Can you shop online, which you might be doing this year more anyway? Yeah. But earplugs, headphones, how loud is the music in the car? Kids get hungry more often and tired more easily than adults. So don't be going out if they're hungry, if they didn't get their nap. That's really important. So manage sensory information, fine motor skills, crafts, them helping you wrap presents, and that kind of thing is calming and self-regulating. So one-on-one time with your kids, you may think, oh, we got all kinds of family time coming up. If it's not one-on-one, it's not the same for the kids. Yeah. So do they have anxiety because of changes in routines? What part of the routine can you keep the same? So, research lets us know that if you keep bedtimes within 1 to 2 hours of where it typically is, it's not going to be the end of the world. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? So there's times when, it's New Year's Eve and they're going to be up late. It's one night, but all the other nights, are you getting them in bed as close to that time as possible? Are you feeding them the same kinds of healthy snacks? There are so many additives in foods this time of year. I mean, they're all the time, but even more so, people are exposed to sweets and artificial dyes. This is not, people sometimes think this is overblown. It's not. Science tells us, decades of science. I mean, they are saying we have conclusively found the impact this has on behavior and anxiety. So keep in mind too, if you have, some kids might feel isolation because they're not around their kids at school the way they used to, or even if it's a Zoom classroom right now, and they might feel rejection that's not there. If you have a social butterfly who does not have social issues, they might be afraid they're going to lose their social status if there's some event they don't get to go to this year. Keep that in mind too, and talk about balance and perspective and all of the considerations that go into that. Yeah. If your kids are disorganized, they may have trouble with gift giving. You got to be able to, so how can you they need a break from school. So we don't need to be sitting there doing homework for hours a day, but they can, you can do sensory motor development, they're writing cards, you're still working on literacy, but it's all related to the holiday and it's fun. Yeah. Cooking and doing math with that, but not, we're going to sit down and do work. I mean, you can do what you want, but I would recommend, they need a break from that, but there are other ways to teach that are, and the more relevant learning is, here's something else. Part of self-care, as well as knowing about your child's limitations and kind of planning for those, is if you are going to be around relatives, a lot of y'all out there are probably aware that you have well-meaning loved ones who have all the answers about how to raise your children and all the things you're doing wrong. Put that in its place. Silence that voice. Maybe have conversations in advance with your relatives about what your kids are struggling with. Talk about, if you get overwhelmed at grandma's house, here are acceptable strategies. We talk about self-regulation strategies. Make sure your kids have those fresh on their minds. If I start feeling overwhelmed, here's a code word I can use, and I can be excused from the table. I can go for a walk. I can draw. I can talk it out, that kind of thing. Make sure that you've refreshed their minds. Get them familiar with people if they haven't seen Uncle Sam. And that was weird. That was just random. I have a cousin named Sam, and so I said, Uncle. I'm not talking about Tex Man. Uncle Bob. I'm sorry.
Uncle, what's that movie with Bill Murray? Is it Uncle Dave?
What about Bob?
Oh yeah, what about Bob? Good job, you win. Yeah, Bob made me think of uncles.
Baby step to the elevator.
That's right.
Hey, a movie I've actually seen.
How about this? How about the part where he's like, like for like 5 minutes? Come on. All right, we digress. All right.
No, but just keep that in mind. And how can you create structure without being rigid? You want to maintain routines that are familiar. Have a favorite blanket, a favorite toy that brings comfort while they're doing this thing that's unfamiliar. Social stories. If you Google social stories, this Carol Gray, genius woman, she came up with this concept for kids with autism decades ago, but it is good for any kid struggling with neurodevelopment, ADHD, sensory processing, anxiety. It is a dress rehearse for what's to come. You can write your own social story about, we're going to grandma's house and here's who's going to be here. Draw pictures that go with it. Talk about what the expected behaviors are. I might feel this way, and that's okay. When I do, this is what I'm going to do. So it's like they are practicing for when it happens and it doesn't feel so unfamiliar. Predictable. Right. The lack of prediction is what leads to a lot of anxiety. That is a cognitive skill kids lack. So if I don't feel like I have any clue what's going to happen next, I feel scared. And then I lash out or I withdraw.
Makes total sense. Let's see. We're talking about, the favorable conditions. I love that. Okay, planning ahead. Now, I had a story I wanted to share. Look, I'm all over the place. The story I wanted to share was my daughter is having some anxiety related to what is going on in the world right now, right? The P word and the C word that I'm not going to say. People are like, oh, this show. All right, listen, though, seriously. She has some anxiety and she's having trouble sleeping. And so I took her on a one-on-one time walk today in the nice weather because I'm in Florida. And together we talked about things that she could do to get herself in a better routine, right? Because she's, talking to my wife about like, I heard melatonin is something you could take. And it's true. Like, look, melatonin is produced in the body. It is a nice, natural little substitute if you want to help yourself, but it's not a long-term solution, right? But what I found is that she cannot quiet her brain. And so she is not my brain balance kid. My brain balance kid is my 9-year-old boy, but my 12-year-old daughter, to try to teach her good habits, I said, let's just set up a schedule. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, I schedule every single day, something that you do every day that's routine. So you don't get, anxiety about going to bed. And then when you're in bed, all you can think about is like, how long is it going to take me to fall asleep? Stuff like that. So I think also the next thing we're going to talk about is those favorable conditions, right? So can you elaborate on that? Because that was something that I think will help her as well.
Yes. I mean, part of the favorable condition is establishing a routine, sticking with your routine as much as you can without rigidity. Be flexible. Things aren't going to look exactly the same. Managing sensory overload. Keep in mind that if we are going to have a crazy Thursday. Make Wednesday as quiet as you can. Make Friday as quiet as you can, because these types of things are cumulative. So if we're like, oh, we're going to grandma's house on Thursday. Man, we got to get 18 errands done tomorrow and la 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 la. Not a good idea. That's going to make Thursday rougher on everybody.
Yeah.
What are the things you can do? Use your predictive abilities. These are the problems that we have kind of established. What can I potential? What are the things I can do to rectify it? I can have healthy snacks so we don't just grab something on the go. I can make sure kids get the nap. I can control, the music in the car. But what are some of the things that you do, because you know your kids really well?
Like what? With keeping them in a favorable conditions, you mean?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you did one today,
I go on a walk with them, of course, but I think a favorable condition for my 5-year-old Parker is pretty funny. He's a little OCD, and I say that lovingly. But he loves having superheroes around his room to keep him safe. And so he has plastic superheroes, probably 10 of them. And he has a very specific way that he likes them arranged to keep an eye on him. And sometimes they fall out of place and stuff like that. And he doesn't get too obsessed about it, which is great. It makes me feel really good about it. But we did get him some of those fat heads, that stick on the wall.
Yeah.
And they're superheroes. So he's got one on each wall, and then he's got his little superheroes. And man, that kid is just the cutest. I think with Izzy, my daughter, I talked about that with her, but it really is that one-on-one time and dedicated listening. I think her cell phone is just doing absolutely nothing for her. So to help her have a favorable condition, we have signed a social media contract, and she will not be looking at her phone at all, quite honestly, in the evening, at all. And right now, while she's got this anxiety, her cell phone's right there on my desk. You can't see it because it's off camera, but it's mine. And it's not a punishment. It's just like to help her stay away from herself and create good habits as an adult, because, half of us can't even go to the bathroom without our phone, for goodness sake. So give me a break. Come on. And then, so I think those are some of the things I do for my kids to help with the favorable conditions.
Yeah. One of the things, I know it's still Thanksgiving week, but this is kind of holiday season show.
That's
one
right.
of the things I want to mention that I've really not heard anybody else say is rethink talking about Santa's watching you or Elf on the Shelf is watching you. Let me know if you're naughty or nice. Have you been a good boy or a bad boy? Those are toxic words, really in general, but especially for kids with developmental struggles. And here's why. If you've watched previous shows, you've heard me talk about rejection sensitivity dysphoria. You've heard me talk about how we learn first in our sensory motor system. It translates into sense of self and other cognitive development. If I don't feel my body the way I'm supposed to, I don't really get who I am in my heart and soul. I'm not emotionally regular. I don't know how I feel. So I don't understand the impact of my actions on others. Behavior is communication. This is not a free pass. Kids who know what to do and they don't have an excuse, but I'm talking about kids who have these struggles. If I am labeled, have you been a good boy or a bad boy? That is very inflexible. If I did something bad, a lot of kids think that makes me a bad person. Yeah. There's been a lot coming out about anxiety caused by Elf on the Shelf. How about if you are going to do Elf on the Shelf or things like that? Boy, Elf on the Shelf told me that you were so kind to your sister and helped pick her up when she fell down. That could be the good reporter instead of the bad. So just keep that in mind, that a lot of these traditions might be misconstrued. What are the perceptions of our kids if they already have low self-esteem or rejection sensitivity? Remember, 98 to 99% of adolescents and adults with ADHD and these higher cognitive function difficulties have rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Yeah, we got to be careful. I all the time talking to my dude about, like, listen, man, you're not a bad kid. You just made a bad choice. Yeah. Okay. And not saying like that's bad boy behavior, right? Like stuff like that. It's like, look, man, you're a good kid. And it's so awesome. Like every time I say that, he's just like, yeah, Dad, thank you. And it's a hug. It's not like a spanking or like a you're bad, like it really does feel better for him, and it feels better for me too. So I'm down for that win.
Yeah. So just be thinking about what their needs are. Exercise, y'all. If you are traveling, exercise in intervals. Little ones, if they're going to be in the car more than 2 hours, that's travel for them. Yeah. Even if it doesn't really feel like, where I live, that's like just getting across the city sometimes.
Oh, technically,
yeah. But have them exercise before, stop at a rest stop. We're going to, play a game of tag real quick. You're at the gas station, do 10 jumping jacks. That makes a huge difference on redistributing oxygen and glucose, all the things we need to regulate and to not get cranky.
Heck yeah.
And there are so many fun games you can do. Instead of Simon Says, play Santa Says this year. Name that tune, dance to Christmas carols. If you're going to watch football tomorrow at halftime, go out and play some tag football in the backyard. Exercise matters. It is self-regulating. It grows cognitive skills. It gets rid of energy. It's a mood booster, spirit reset, releases chemicals in our brain that make everything better.
Love it. All right, let's see. We've talked about conversations. We talked about this. Okay, what about traditions?
So that bullet point is about family meetings. So
okay, good. We're good.
You've heard me talk about family meetings before. That's where we're going to go next. And I recommend having family meeting once a week anyway. We need to have a holiday family meeting. And I know that Beth popped up the thing about traditions. There are several talking points to think about here. And one is everybody gets to voice how they're feeling, and it doesn't matter what it is. Man, it hurt when so-and-so squeezed my cheeks. They're not being ugly, they're venting. And parents also share how you're feeling on an appropriate level, because kids need to know that not everything is sunshine and butterflies all the time. That is not a healthy way to live. If mom and dad we want to be calm, but if we feign happiness when we're not, or frustrated about something, kids feel shamed. We need to be real, not perfect, and not happy all the time, because that's just not real. And if kids can't find a word for what they're feeling, help them come up with 3 words for it. And then they experience it on the appropriate level. Play emotion charades, have them draw, write it out, all that kind of thing. Another thing is about traditions. When it comes to doing too much, there might be certain rituals or traditions your family does that kids have outgrown. Or maybe, do we need to revisit this because the kids have gotten older, or this is something we do with the grandparents and unfortunately we don't have them anymore, etc. Divorce, all these different things can make that look different. So everybody sits down and talks about which traditions, which rituals mean the most to them. And you might find that some of the things you're doing, nobody really values. It's just out of habit. But then the ones that the family does value, that builds family cohesion. And research shows that families who engage in traditions that the family has sat down and discussed, everyone has a voice, it builds family cohesion, and that develops long-term coping strategies in kids. Wow. A lot of research on this. I think that's powerful. And give kids a heads up. That really is part of effective managing the environment as well as this family meeting. Once you know what's going to happen, visual schedule is great. If you can't do that, at least verbalize it to kids, get their input, manage expectations. Where if you are doing fewer activities this year, make sure they know that and why, and let them talk about how they feel about that. I'm not going through the whole 16-course meal. Maybe you're going to order a pizza this year and y'all are going to sit around. You can put up a tent in your living room, watch a holiday movie, and that gives you more time with your kids. We don't want to create perfection, which isn't perfect.
Yeah.
At the exclusion of quality time together. Know your child's love language, that one-on-one time, and enlist help. Kids enjoy, and it's not a chore. It's like family togetherness.
Yeah.
Does it matter if your Christmas cards aren't perfect? Have an assembly line. Somebody licks it. Somebody puts on the stamp. Somebody writes. Your working on some skills, togetherness. It takes you less time. You're less stressed out, which means your child is less stressed out. Let them help you wrap presents. The cutest thing is the imperfectly wrapped present from a kid, right?
Yeah.
What can they help you with without it feeling like a chore? And so that's really it. I mean, think about feelings. Expectations are about which activities you are and aren't doing, as well as I want this, $6,000 motorcycle. Sweetheart, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Managing expectations in that way, talking about making gifts, that kind of thing. But it's gifting. It is what the schedule is going to look like. It's everything like that. Manage expectations, manage your own expectations. And remember, think back to other holidays and what are some of your favorite memories that warm your heart? It is that unexpected oops that happened. It wasn't the perfectly hung tinsel or whatever.
Yeah. Perfect. Well,
the final thing.
Yeah, teaching and modeling those holidays. Like what are they about? Why do we even celebrate the holidays, right?
This is super important. We talk all the time about giving kids purpose, right? Why? Why does this matter? Why do I have to learn this math? Why do I have to know about social studies? Make learning relevant. That includes the holidays. If kids understand what the holiday is really about, a lot of those frivolous expectations lose their importance. Get out, like, what do they care about in the community? What can you do as a family to go serve others? Giving, gratitude, family and friend, loved one connectedness, quality time. If they know the why, what a difference. And they can make a scrapbook. We talked about personal narratives before too. Individuals, whether it's children or adults, who have incoherent personal narratives about their lives, and maybe I've gone through trauma and I haven't processed it and I can't even really convey it to you in a way that makes sense, that means it's chaos in my head. And if you will do a scrapbook and went to Thanksgiving, these are the people we saw, and just make it fun. It's creative, it's self-regulating, but it also adds to their personal story. And next year or year after, you're going to see these same people, pull it out. Suddenly those unfamiliar people feel more familiar to them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love teaching my kids about making pumpkin pie. I mean, that's one thing. I make pumpkin pie in the blender, and that is the home run for me. But really, it's about being together. It's about hanging out. It's about supporting each other during a very difficult time. And gosh, these holidays are going to be really, really different. But we're here for you, folks. We're here for you. If you have any questions, if you want to leave a comment for us, let us know. Just leave a comment below. And we do reply to all of the comments. So if you have any questions, let us know. And the biggest and most important thing is if you need help, whether it be coming to a center or if you're socially distant, then don't come. Stay home. We'll come to you through the computer and we'll help you. Okay. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And Heather has several centers that have wonderful staff in the Texas area. We've got the Mansfield location. We've got South Lake. We've got Katie, right? And we've got
the Woodlands.
Mansfield. Did I say
You said Mansfield. The fourth one is the Woodlands, opening next month.
And the Woodlands coming soon. Yeah. So listen, I know those are like spread out across the entire state of Texas. We talked about 2 hours, talk about like 5 hours from one location to the other if you're in the Houston area and the Dallas area. But listen, we're here to help you. So just reach out, Brain Balance Centers. You can, of course, type in your zip code. Just go to brainbalance.com, find the zip code that is in your area, and we'll be glad to help you. And reach out to any of Heather's centers. You can email, you can chat. We'll be there for you. So until next time, my friends, that's it. We did it. Thank you so much, Heather. I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. I hope your family is able to spend at least some time together, even if it's on Zoom.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Virtual, what trip can you do virtually? You can do it through Zoom. If go to a museum together virtually, be creative this season. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.